Good morning everybody. In today's video we're going to be changing the brake cross shaft seals on the Fulton Major. As you can see here, I have decided to be a little bit smarter and work a bit better, and I thought I'll use the hydraulic tipping pipe to literally pump the oil out the gearbox or the back end. So just got a 3 meter pipe, which I originally bought this pipe so that I could pump oil from the back end back into the gearbox, because the seal between the two is leaking, so oil passes from the gearbox into the back end where the hydraulic oil normally is stored. So with this pipe I can quite quickly and easily pump it from the back end back into the gearbox. Doesn't take long with this pipe to empty enough out to let us get to the cross shaft without it being above the, without the cross shaft being below the line of the oil. So saves a lot of mess, saves a lot of hassle, saves a lot of time, saves taking the pickup hitch off to get to the bung underneath to drop the oil out. As we can see now, it's time to start taking the brake pedals and stuff off. So the first job to do is to remove the split pins and the clevis pins which hold the brake pedals to the linkages, and then we have the split pin and the clevis pin on the brake cable as well. I've just taken a spring off there which is for the actual brake light switch, so because I have a cab on my tractor I decided it'd be better to put fully functioning lights on it, so it has side lights, indicators, brake lights, beacons, etc, etc. Dropping off the plate now, which I don't know what the plate is actually for there, that little like U bracket thing that goes under the brake pedals. The only thing I know is it has the pawl on the top for the pawl and ratchet for the parking brake, but apart from that I have no idea what it's for really and why it's actually there. So we got the linkage off now, off the cross shaft, so that was the linkage for the offside rear brake, and we're just releasing the near side rear brake pedal now, and this is fitted on with a keyway and it's got a pinch bolt, so I've just used a chisel there just to open up the part of the bracket so that it loosens its grip on the shaft and lets me draw it off a little bit easier. Moving on to the other side now, it's the same sort of process again. It's a case of undoing the pinch bolt and then put a chisel in, but I forgot there's a little circlip on this side, and I don't know why this side's got a circlip on it and the other side has got like a collar and a retaining pin. If anyone knows that, then yeah, please let me know in the comments, whether it's because the other side has more force on it and they need something a bit stronger so you don't push the pedal off the side of the shaft or something, I don't know. But yeah, if you do know, let me know in the comments. So at this stage now, I don't run a clutch pedal on mine in the conventional place, which is on this shaft. So to keep the shaft in place, I fitted a bit of rubber hose on mine, which stops the shaft moving transverse across the axle. So it's very cold out, it's probably about 3-4 degrees at the moment, so as you can imagine this bit of pipe is not very malleable, so it's putting up a bit of a fight to come off. I probably do have another bit somewhere, but I thought it'd just better to spend the time, get that off, save looking for a new bit of pipe to put back on at some point. So with the pipe off now, it's just a time to give the cross shaft a bit of a clean up. And as you can see now, I'm just scraping some of the paint off where the clutch pedal would normally be. And there is, yeah, you can probably see in the video, there's quite a bit of wear on the shaft where the clutch pedal would normally run. But because I'm not using the clutch pedal, I'm not bothered about the wear in the shaft, and a bit of rubber pipe's going to be covering that part of the shaft anyway, so that saved me having to buy a new one at this time. There's not enough wear on the shaft where the seal runs to cause any problems I can see, so I'm hoping with new seals in it's not going to leak. The only thing that is a bit of a pain is the wheel has to come off to get the cross shaft fully out. Now, I don't have a lot of space in the shed, and I didn't want to move the tractor out of the shed to get the wheel off to get the cross shaft out. So what I chose to do was just slide it across one way and then slide it back the other way to work on the other side. So again, as we can see, I'm just scraping the paint off here. This is where the brake pedal fits on, and the purpose of scraping the paint off is just to allow me to clean the shaft up so that when the new seals are in and I push the shaft back through, it doesn't damage the seals. Time to get the 320 grit emery paper out now. It's only 320 grit because that's all I have. Ideally something a bit coarser to do the first part of the clean up and then move to something finer afterwards would have been good, but it's now time to get the seal out. So get the seal puller, give it a tap in with a hammer to get behind the lip, and these come out nice and easy. A little bit of grease going on now just to help the new seal go in and to make sure that there's no corrosion between the seal and the face of the casting. Obviously with the seal being rubber that won't corrode, but I don't want any moisture to get in there behind the seal and start rusting up the casting face where the seal fits. Back onto the near side again. I'm just taking a quick photograph of the seal there because it's got the size on, so if I need any at any point in the future I can get them from my local seal supplier, and I don't have to wait until I order them online from somebody that says they fit this application but don't actually give me the seal size. So I've just put the seal in and I have put the steel washer on, and the idea of the steel washer is just to try and keep any debris away from the seal so it doesn't tear the face up. Bit of grease on the pipe now, bit of grease on the shaft, and we tap the plastic rubber hose pipe back into position. Bit more grease now on the brake pedal clamp, and a little tap with a hammer just to get the woodruff key into position. Tap the clamp back on, circlip on, pinch bolt in. We'll do it up with the impact gun. Well, it's not a normal impact gun. It's one of them screwdrivery impact driver things. So I like to whiz everything up and undo it with that. It just saves so much time, saves your hands. Copper grease on the bolts now. Double check the tightness with the ratchet. And we repeat the same on the offside. Bit more grease on the shaft. Bit more grease on the clamp. Slide the steel washer back on to keep the debris out. Put the woodruff key back in. Bit more grease on there. And I'm going to put that little bracket back on just because you can't get, well, on mine I can't get enough flex on it to get the levers and the pedals past the end of the bracket if I don't put the bracket on first and let it drop down. So yeah, it's like I say, I don't know why it's on there, but yeah, we're putting the retaining springs back on now for the pedals to keep them up. We put the collar on here now, so this is the steel collar. which fits on the offside, where the near side has that snap ring on it. So this is what I'm saying. If anyone knows why this side's got the collar and the pin and the other side's only got a snap ring, that'd be great to know. I can only think because you exert more pressure possibly on the brake pedal pushing it to that side, and they don't want the risk of the brake pedal pushing a snap ring or anything off the shaft if the groove gets worn. Bit more copper grease on the bolt now, do it up with a gun and double check it with the ratchet. Put the spring back on now for the brake light switch. Tighten up the bolts for the bracket, which is, from what I can see, the only sensible thing of it is to hold the brake lock mechanism. Having a few problems now. The battery powered LED light has decided to run out of power, so a little bit darker for the next bit, but we're nearly at the end of the video and we are nearly at completion of the job. It's not a bad job to do, I will admit. I've got a few more things in the way than what most people would have, so if you've got a standard tractor which hasn't been modified and doesn't have a cab and a step and everything else in the way, then it really is an easy job to do. And like I say, if you can get a wheel off so you can slide the shaft right out and get it in the vise for cleaning, that makes it even easier. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and like and subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you think that voiceovers are a good idea on time lapses, or if you would prefer music to be played over the top. That's always good to have the feedback, so that going forwards with new videos we can make them better for the viewer. Just putting the little clevis pins back in now and the split pins. It's always a bit of a struggle with old split pins to get them back in, but these split pins haven't done a lot, so I'm not too bothered about putting them back in and reusing them. I know they're not going to snap on me. Quick grease up of all the linkages now. May as well do it while we're down here and we've got the grease gun handy, and we should now be good for, well, the start of the season next year. It's always good to have some of these oil seals changed because people don't like a natural weed suppression system and anti-corrosion system on my tractor